behavior, not to tell you what it was going to be. The strength of Yirmiyahu's prophecy was not whether it came true or not. On the contrary, you don't want the prophet's words to come true. That was Jonah's mistake. He thought it had to come true in order to be a prophet, so he didn't want to go, you know, because he knew he would fail. All right, so you see, so you have this kind of stuff coming out, and then I was in Borough Park a little while ago, and I saw this poster, so I couldn't resist.
Deadly.
It was a little wet on the side.
Show it to the side.
All right. The poster is Meha Islam Liyahadut. Sipuro Shel Ger HaTzedek Yitzchak Chavetz Chaim. So here we are doing this. This is exactly what people did in the Middle Ages. We got one of them. We chopped one of them. Oh, he's coming out to lecture to us, and we have a lecture by Harav Yosef Kahati B'Hartza'ato HaMadhima, Eretz Yisrael L'mi, and so on and so forth. So we're in this thing. It's across the board. This amazing lecture. To whom does Eretz Yisrael belong? The Arab-Israeli conflict and its consequences for the end of days, according to the secrets of the Torah. Al Pi Tzvunot HaTorah. So there we are. We're doing this stuff, and what we're doing is we're in the business of showing our tradition is going to be victorious, and they're bad, and they're evil. We're in this game. It's a very bad game. So where do we confront Islam? In our tradition, where do we confront Islam? Where do we confront Islam? Yishmael. What does it say about, here, look at your sheets. What does it say? I want to just show some element of what I call the text of terror. Yes? Then no, you have to share. You're going to have to share. So what does it say? What did Sarah do to Hagar? What's he do to Hagar? It says, what's the Hebrew term? Anyone know? Vate'aneha Sarai. Vate'aneha. The root is, right? Ayin nun hey. Now, without seeing the same exact usage, which it is used in another place, what ritual do we have that draws on the term, that same root, ayin nun hey? Or ta'anit, okay, yeah, but a ritual that has in the Torah, a ritual in the Torah.
B'initem et
nafshotechem, or at Yom Kippur, that's true, and then it has a parallel 6 months before that in another Jewish holiday. Pesach, what do we do? What do we eat on Pesach? Lechemoni, the bread of... why do we eat bread of... Yeah, but because Sarah afflicted Hagar, who was an Egyptian. I mean, I'm not saying that's what the Torah says. I want you to see how the same term appears. There's a wisdom in how words are used. And there's an awareness. So the Torah is already aware that there's something bad that happened. Now, I want to know something. You don't die from something bad. You know your family histories. All of us. There are bad things that happen in our life. And some of the things that we did. The issue is not that you didn't. How did you react to them? What you learned from them? Where are you now? The history of a people cannot be tested merely by virtue of the fact that there were mistakes. Sometimes these things had to happen in order for the people to grow. Right? Things happen. I mean, people use other technical terms. That's the bad thing about these debates about what happened. They try to get you. Look what you did. All right, that's true. You know. All right, I want to go. Someone's watching me, and I'm not teaching them. All right, now the Doreen isn't here, so she said I need a mashgiach. All right, so look for a moment, because we can't read all the text. You see the Ramban on the first page on the left-hand side. This is what I call a rich tradition, where Ramban says our mother did transgress, and so did Abraham. I mean, now I'm proud of this. Our religious tradition that takes on our patriarch and says they did, the patriarch, the holy Abraham and Sarah, they transgressed. And the Radak says, unbelievable, that this whole story, I mean, you read through the Radak. So Kimchi lived a century later in Provence, 14th century in Provence, and he writes that the whole episode was a type of moral dilemma. Because they didn't do that which was right legally, and they didn't do that which was right ethically. And there we have a story in the Torah that we should confront to learn how to behave towards someone else. So we're stuck with that memory. Now, hold your hand for a second. What does the Torah do about that memory? I want to tell you something. This is so interesting. Who sells Joseph? Look at the next verse, Genesis 37:28. Maybe someone can read for me. Want to read it, Toby? Genesis 37:28.
When Midianite, is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay. When Midianite traders passed by, they pulled Joseph up out of the pit. They sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites who brought Joseph to Egypt.
All right, so for all of us think that the brothers sold Joseph, right? That's the tradition that we have, even in the El Eskara, in the Piyut, the poem that we read on Yom Kippur and on Tisha B'Av. The emperor, you know the midrashes. The emperor's reading through the Torah, and he says, "Oh, you see, 10 brothers sold one brother." He calls in the rabbis and he say, "What was the punishment? Was there ever a punishment meted out for this sale?" And the rabbis say, "No." So the emperor says, "I want 10 rabbis. That's the 10 martyred rabbis to pay for this eternal sin of selling your brother." I mean, that sort of goes to the heart of who you are. You sell your own brother. All right. So now, in fact, it's more complicated. I remember when I read Nechama Leibovitz for the first time when I was a kid, and because it was so confusing. You don't know. The brothers were sitting and eating. So they saw the caravan in the distance. And it's an interesting passage, because even when you see that someone pulled him out of the pit, not the brothers, because the brothers were eating on the side, and Reuben didn't know what happened to him. Remember, Reuben comes back, he doesn't know, right? Even then you don't know, because one text says Midianites, another text says Ishmaelites. What's happening? So Ishmaelites, you know. The Ishmaelites are the descendants of Ishmael. Who are the Midianites? Abraham married another woman. After Sarah died, her name was Keturah. Keturah had 6 kids. One of the kids was Midian. What does Abraham do with his kids? He's nearing the end of his life. What does he do with these 6 kids? I'm sorry, I'm not going to take the time to look up the pasuk. You believe me, it's the end of Chayesara, right? He sends them eastward, out of the house. So Abraham expelled Ishmael from the house. Abraham expelled Midian from the house. Midian and Ishmael in some confused way in the text, because the confusion is a sign to us. They're the ones who expelled Joseph from his house. So that it's not so much, you see, I'm not looking for midah keneged midah, retributive justice in this way. That's not the issue. The issue is that the text casts the judgment on the initial act to teach us something bad happened in the initial act. Remember it. Don't be so arrogant about your origins. That's the message. Understand that there were flaws in your basic development. Not because you want to advertise to the world. See, I always say, by the way, we don't need any anti-Semitic literature because everybody reads Bereshit. It's the biggest book of anti-Semitism ever written. Jacob is a heel, and he's tricks, and Abraham lies. Read the Muslim criticism of the Bible. You'll see that's what they say. In the Middle Ages they were saying this. That's one of the reasons they said the Bible can't be revealed. How could the Bible be revealed if the patriarchs come out looking like liars and tricksters? Right? But that's the strength of our tradition, that we're able to confront them. But we have this. It also, as I said, teaches us a sense of humility. That in our foundational story, we understand the problems of developing a family and developing a people. And that we have to also always be vigilant about our morals and how we live. And also recognize that there are decisions that are made at times that sometimes are indefensible, that have to be made. Because that's what life forces you to do things. Life forces you to fight war. War is never good. Understand that. I was once on the radio, I remember when they had the first Gulf War, they put me on an interview and they wanted me to know about the morality of the war. I couldn't argue. I can't argue for the morality of the war. It's sometimes necessary. I don't think it's a moral category. You're killing. In other words, now, how you fight, you can develop a morality of how you fight. But warfare. So you have a nation state, you got to do that. All right? Sometimes you have to do what otherwise, in principle, you say is indefensible. Right? So that's part of growing up and learning how to own those things. Right? So we have these texts. They are what I call they're traumatic texts, because they implant within us a sense about the other.